Alright, so I just got this Tusq XL permanently lubricated nut from Epiphone, and I thought I would try to get a little bit of footage of me changing it out. Alright, so I'll just start by loosening up the strings here so I can set them aside. Okay, you can see I've got the strings loosened up and I've just pulled them off the nut. I'm just going to take the truss rod cover off here. Alright, so next I'm just going to take a sharp razor knife with a brand new blade. I'm just going to quickly kind of score around the nut. I can actually see lacquer on the nut, so I can tell this hasn't been changed. This Epiphone's a few years old. And you can see I use pencil lead for my lubricant, so this permanently lubricated nut, we'll have to see how that works. And I'm really just kind of not cutting into any wood or anything. I'm just going along the plastic, really, because this is just a plastic nut. Okay, we get a block of wood here. Alright, next I'm just going to take a thin rag here, throw it over the fretboard a little bit. And I'm going to take a block of wood here that I've got. It's got a little grip on it for easy maneuvering here. And I'm just going to slide it along the rag here a couple of times. And I don't know if you just saw, but that's how easy it was to break that out. That's it. Okay, so you can see that there's really hardly any glue in there at all, and that's what you really want to see. Likewise, you can see very little glue, if any, on the nut itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this Tusq XL, and I believe we're going to have some sanding to do, so I'll jump on that next. Let me put the camera down. Alright, so you can actually, the folks at Graphtech actually say drop it on a surface and you can hear the difference, and you can. Okay, that's the Tusq. And here's the what I believe to be the stock Epiphone plastic nut. So the idea is this is going to transfer harmonic vibration through to the neck of the guitar better than plastic. And also it's supposed to keep your strings from fetching up, hence the reason why they call it permanently lubricated. Alright, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to proceed slowly. I don't want to take too much off, but I can tell you right now it needs to be sanded. It's a little bit wider, and I suspect a little bit taller than the original nut. So what I've got is some real fine 400 grit paper here, and I'm just going to go ahead and give it a couple of swipes back and forth, test it out, and I'm just going to repeat that process a few times until I get it where I need it to be. Actually, I'm going to do this on a hard surface. I don't want this towel here. I want it to be flat. Alright, so you can see I'm in pretty good shape. One thing that I can tell already, the plastic nut, the original nut that was on here, was sanded down a little bit on the corners here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that as well. But in terms of the overall height and the width or the thickness of the nut, it's fitting nice and tight, but not so much that I can't get it out. And I am going to use just a dab of glue or a couple of small dots, but you can see that I've got it in pretty good shape. But you can notice that the nut slots are quite a bit deeper on the original nut, but I'm thinking that that's that's just the normal wear of the nut. So we'll have to see how the action is when I actually put it on there. Graphtech does provide a PDF file with some general numbers on how to adjust the nut slot and the overall height. So I may actually, before I glue it in, measure it up and everything. So I'm going to go ahead and sand these corners down because what it is when it sits in the neck, you can actually feel a little catch right there. So I'm just going to get rid of those real quick. Alright, the overall nut width is a little bit wider on the new Graphtech, so I'm actually taking a little bit off the sides as well. I don't know if you can see that or not. So just the idea here is just take your time and try to make the nut match as much as possible the one that you removed. So I'm going to continue on here. Alright, so I'm happy with the placement here and the size of it. The only thing I'm not happy with so far is, the color. I'm not real keen on this antique or aged white, I guess is what they called it. Really kind of wanted the cream color like I had. But what I'm going to do now, I haven't glued it down, is I'm going to string the guitar up and play it and make sure I've got everything lined up the way I want it. And I'm only going to use a couple of small drops of glue anyway. So let me get this thing tuned up. Okay, so I've got the guitar tuned up and I've played it a little bit. Sounds pretty good, feels okay. The next part, and I'm just doing this according to the Graphtech instructions here, just so to be precise. I'm going to use a couple of feeler gauges. I'm going to use 1/100th of an inch for the low E and 6/1000th of an inch for the high E. And what the instructions say to do, and actually you'd want to do this in a natural position of the guitar. You don't want it laying on the neck like I've got it here. I've got the neck supported, but the weight of the guitar could actually be tweaking the neck slightly, so you actually want to hold the guitar if possible in its natural playing position. So basically what you're going to do is take your finger, you're going to push down on just past the right on the 3rd fret here, so you're fretting the 3rd fret, and you're going to take the thicker gauge here, and you're going to try to slip it under the 1st fret in the low E string, and that looks actually really pretty good. It is moving the string slightly, but again, that could be because I've got the guitar laying on its neck. So then we'll take the 6/1000th of an inch, and you're going to do the same thing. You're going to fret the 3rd fret here, or above or higher than the 2nd fret, so you're fretting the 3rd fret, and you're taking that real thin gauge, the 6/1000th of an inch, and you're going to do the same thing, 1st fret, high E string, and try to slip it under there. And that is the according to the Graphtech instructions, that's the gap that you want. So all in all, I'm real happy with the way it feels. What I've done is I've just tried to make sure that I could sand this down a little bit more here. I don't want any edges. Same on the other side. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull the strings off it, and I'm going to glue it down. I'm just going to use it. I actually am hesitant to glue it, but I'm going to, just because I'd hate to have this thing slip off sometime when I'm playing it or just knocking it around. So let me set the camera down. I'm going to loosen up these strings. I'm going to try to get this back in the exact same position because it's just where I want it, and we'll glue it down. Okay, so I've got the strings loose again here. You can actually see I've got this quite tight. And I'm just going to use Elmer's white glue. You can use super glue. Some people, if you read the forums, there's quite a little discussion about super glue, tight bond, Elmer's glue. I'm just going to use Elmer's white glue. It's fine. I'm only going to put really just a couple of small drops in there. That's it. That's all I'm using. I guess the key is no matter what you use, just don't use a lot of it. And if any glue seeps out the side, just wipe it off, obviously. And for me, what I used to kind of get this lined up to begin with was the edges, because I took the time to sand it down so that the edges weren't really protruding out beyond the neck at all. So that's what I want. Okay, I'm going to string this up and let it dry, and then we'll try to do another little sound check. Alright, so hopefully this video's been helpful. If you're changing out the nut on your guitar, take your time, go slow, and sand it down to the right size. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And if you like this kind of video, please hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.